What does it really mean to live with courage? Most people think courage means facing danger, standing tall, or never showing weakness. But Brené Brown, a research professor and storyteller, discovered something revolutionary. True courage isn't about being fearless, it's about being vulnerable. In Daring Greatly, she shows that vulnerability, the willingness to be seen, to risk failure, to show emotion, is not a weakness at all. It's the foundation of creativity, love, leadership, and joy. The title of the book comes from a famous quote by Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, who at best knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." Brown's message is simple but profound. To live a meaningful life, you have to step into the arena, to take risks, to show up fully, even when you can't control the outcome. The first major lesson from Daring Greatly is vulnerability is courage, not weakness. We're taught from childhood to hide vulnerability. Don't cry, don't fail, don't look uncertain. But Brown's decade of research revealed that vulnerability is the birthplace of everything we value most: love, belonging, creativity, trust, and innovation. The people who live most wholeheartedly are those willing to be imperfect, to show up as they are, not as they think they should be. She explains that vulnerability isn't oversharing or recklessness. It's emotional honesty. It's the courage to say, "I love you" first, to try something new, to admit a mistake, or to lead a difficult conversation. Vulnerability is showing up when there are no guarantees. The second lesson is, shame is the enemy of connection. Brown defines shame as the belief that we are unworthy of love and belonging. It whispers, "You're not enough," and convinces us to hide our true selves. The more we hide, the more disconnected we feel from others and from ourselves. Shame thrives in secrecy, silence, and judgment. But the antidote, Brown says, is empathy. When we share our shame stories with people who respond with compassion instead of criticism, shame loses its power. Talking about shame doesn't make us weaker, it makes us human. The third lesson is perfectionism is a shield that blocks growth. Many people think perfectionism means striving for excellence, but Brown reveals that it's actually fear in disguise, the fear of judgment and rejection. Perfectionism says, if I look perfect, act perfect, and achieve perfectly, I'll avoid blame, shame, and criticism. But in reality, perfectionism is unattainable. It drains joy and kills creativity. Instead, Brown encourages healthy striving, doing your best for growth, not approval. Excellence is fueled by passion. Perfectionism is fueled by fear. The key is to remember that you are worthy right now, not after you prove yourself. The fourth lesson is vulnerability transforms leadership. In the workplace, vulnerability might seem like the last thing a leader should show, but Brown's research proves the opposite. Great leaders foster innovation, trust, and collaboration by creating psychological safety, an environment where people can speak honestly, make mistakes, and share ideas without fear. She calls this daring leadership, leading with empathy instead of ego. A daring leader says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to listen. Vulnerability in leadership isn't weakness, it's authenticity. And authenticity builds trust. The fifth lesson is, connection requires boundaries. Being vulnerable doesn't mean saying yes to everything or tolerating disrespect. Brown emphasizes that true vulnerability is grounded in boundaries, knowing what's okay and what's not. Setting boundaries protects your energy and self-worth. She writes, "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others." The sixth lesson is wholehearted living. Brown defines wholehearted living as engaging with life from a place of worthiness, believing that you are enough just as you are. Wholehearted people embrace vulnerability, practice gratitude, cultivate self-compassion, and let go of the need for control. They know that failure and imperfection are part of the human experience. Instead of trying to avoid struggle, they lean into it with courage and curiosity. Wholehearted living is not about comfort, it's about authenticity. The seventh lesson is parenting and vulnerability. Brown extends her ideas to family and parenting, reminding us that children learn who they are from how we live, not what we say. Parents who model vulnerability, who admit mistakes, apologize, and express feelings, teach their children that imperfection is not shameful. She writes, "Our job is not to keep our children from feeling pain, but to teach them how to deal with it." When parents allow vulnerability, kids grow up resilient, compassionate, and self-assured. The eighth lesson is the culture of scarcity. Brown observes that modern society is driven by scarcity, the belief that we're never enough. We wake up and think, "I didn't sleep enough." We go to work and feel, "I don't do enough." We look in the mirror and believe, "I'm not good enough." This scarcity mindset fuels anxiety and competition. But when we replace scarcity with gratitude and worthiness, we open the door to connection. The opposite of scarcity isn't abundance, it's enough. Daring greatly means believing that who you are is already enough. The ninth lesson is engage, don't armor up. Brown describes how people often put on emotional armor to avoid getting hurt, cynicism, detachment, numbing, or pretending not to care. But armor also blocks joy, love, and creativity. Vulnerability requires taking the armor off, choosing presence over protection. This doesn't mean letting everyone see your deepest wounds. It means choosing courage over comfort in moments that matter, in love, work, and creativity. The most courageous act is simply showing up as yourself. The 10th lesson is embrace the arena. Every meaningful endeavor, whether it's building a business, starting a relationship, or creating art, involves risk. You'll face critics, failure, and self-doubt. But as Roosevelt said, it's not the critic who counts. Brown urges us to focus less on avoiding criticism and more on living fully. If you're in the arena, you'll get bruised, but at least you're alive. Courage doesn't guarantee success, it guarantees growth. The 11th lesson is shame resilience. Brown teaches that we can build resilience to shame by practicing 4 steps: recognizing shame triggers, practicing critical awareness, asking whether the shame story is even true, reaching out for support, and speaking about it openly. Shame can't survive being spoken, it thrives in silence. When you develop shame resilience, failure stops defining you. You learn to see mistakes as learning, not proof of unworthiness. That shift changes everything. The 12th lesson is faith in imperfection. Brown concludes that vulnerability is not a one-time act, it's a lifelong practice. Daring greatly means waking up each day, willing to show up and be seen. It's having faith that even if you fail, even if you're rejected, you're still enough. She writes, "Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness." So, how can you apply daring greatly in your life? Start by identifying where fear holds you back, where you armor up to protect yourself. Then take one small risk. Speak honestly, express gratitude, ask for help, or admit uncertainty. Let yourself be seen, even if it feels uncomfortable. Remember, courage and vulnerability always travel together. In today's world where we filter our lives online, chase perfection, and hide behind success, daring greatly is a radical call to authenticity. It teaches that the bravest thing you can do is to be real. The big takeaway from daring greatly is this: vulnerability is not weakness, it's power. The courage to show up imperfectly is what transforms relationships, leadership, and life itself. The more you protect yourself from being hurt, the more you also protect yourself from being seen, loved, and inspired. That was Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, broken down into its most powerful lessons in under 12 minutes. Which part resonated most with you embracing vulnerability, letting go of perfectionism, or leading with courage? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this summary, make sure to like this video, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly breakdowns of life-changing books. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't just stand outside the arena. Step in, take a risk, and dare greatly.